Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be exploring the North Node and the South Node in the sign of Aries and Libra. July is a big month. We are experiencing the Venus retrograde period, which is going to start from the 22nd of July. And then we have got the nodal change as well, which is going to be taking place somewhere around the 18th of July, and the nodes will be in the sign of Aries and Libra until the 11th of January 2025. So this is a big month overall. So I thought it's time to look at what it might mean for us. Now, to celebrate the nodal changes, I've decided to make a webinar series, a course only on the North Node and the South Node. It is discounted heavily till the 7th of June. So you have got 7th of July, sorry. So it's discounted for another 5 days. So if you want to sign up for that, I recommend going and signing up in the next few days, because after the price is going to be double. In this course, we are going to be looking at the nodes meaning in houses and the signs. The nodes are all about your soul purpose. So we are going to be exploring how to use the ruler of your nodes, any planets in square to the nodes, because those are something to do with skip steps you need to be taken into account. And also, we're going to learn how to predict with the nodes as well. So we're going to talk about eclipses. We are going to be talking about nodal returns and reverse nodal returns and the Saros family and so forth. So it's going to be a very exciting 8-week course. Sign up for it now. Now, let's get started with these nodal changes. To start with, what are the nodes? So the nodes are not actual planets. They are some mathematical calculations. Basically, the moon moves into the northern ecliptic hemisphere, and that's going to be the north node. And then where the moon enters the southern ecliptic, that would be the south node. There's basically pretty much of an interception between, the ecliptic. The nodes are always opposite to each other. So they are about 6 signs apart on the astrological wheel. They always move counterclockwise, and they spend approximately about 18 months in one sign. So we're talking about an 18-month cycle here. Also, they are called as Rahu or Ketu. You might have heard those, but those are Vedic names. But we Western astrologers tend to use those names as well, actually, quite often. Now, what they represent is basically karma. One is the South Node is more the karma, what we brought into this lifetime. And the North Node would show what area of life we need to be developing in this lifetime, but using the accumulated karma which comes from the previous lifetime. So if I wanted to recommend how to work with the nodes, you know what? Or when to look at a personal chart, one of the things I would be looking at definitely is where the sun, where the moon are, and where Saturn or the nodes are, because this is going to talk to you about overall what your karma is. Moon is the representation of your emotional needs. The sun represents the final destination of your life, so what you came here to accomplish. And the nodes are going to talk to you about what you have brought into this lifetime, what gifts you've got, and what area of life you need to accomplish so that you can achieve the purpose of the sun and the moon. And of course, Saturn might be the representation of some of the hurdles you're going to go through in this lifetime, because let's be frank, life is not necessarily easy. Now, until July 17th, we had the nodes in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio. So, namely, South Node was in the sign of Scorpio, and then the North Node was in the sign of Taurus. So, this is the money axis. So, what pretty much we've seen so far, that, the economy of the world have shifted, changed quite a lot. it was challenged as well, right? We had inflation going on, we had food shortages, we had banking issues, we had oil and gas issues, power issues as well, where to get the power from, how much it costs, and so forth. So these are all, you know, Taurus and Scorpio related matters, because Scorpio represents the power and Taurus represents the money. So we had to realize that, you know what, money talks pretty much. Now, when it comes to this shift um, into the sign of Aries and Libra, and it's going to be an 18-month shift, as I said, you know what? It's going to be about me versus others. So Aries is about individuality, who I am, what's important for me. The self-expression, I want to be unapologetically me, and who the heck cares about others? But we need to remember that these are polarities. So one thing we definitely have to learn is that we're gonna have to rely on others as well. We're gonna have to make a pack if we want to be, let's say, successful, for example, or if I want to be expressing who I am. So there is going to be this very much of a focus on the importance of how we together, humans, do certain type of things. Of course, Aries is about identity, who I am, pretty much the self-expression, and the body as well. And when it comes to Libra, which is about close relationships, business partnerships, or personal relationships overall. So that would be the representation of others. So these are going to be extremely important in the next 18 months. Now, by the way, the nodes have got a cycle going on. So every 18, 19 years, you are going to be experiencing the same position for the nodes. So 18, 19 years before, the nodes were also in the sign of Aries and Libra as well. But also there is the 9-year cycle as well, where actually we have got the reversed nodal returns. So it means that the North Node was in the sign of Libra and the South Node was in the sign of Aries about 9 years ago. So often that 9-year marker becomes extremely important. And and you know and 18 years ago, the individuality became extremely important. So one of the things I would be suggesting to look at when you want to make a little bit of a prediction for yourself, what was going on in your life about 18 and 19 years ago? How did you deal with those type of issues, whatever kind of rise for you? Right? So, for example, me personally, I am 40 years old. So, 18 years ago, it was the time when I was about 22 years, 21, 22 years old. So, that is and this is going to be happening in my second and the eighth house. So, I was working extremely a lot. I was focusing a lot on my finances, actually. I managed to increase my finances because I started becoming a private teacher. And obviously, Libra, which is kind of like a customer service, I had to keep those people around as well. But I was pretty young. And then a couple of years later, obviously, I moved as well, and then I left the country, and then um, I went to London. Right? So, for example, imagine a situation if you gave birth about 18, 19 years ago. And that could be the case if you have got Aries and the Libra axis somehow somewhere around the fourth and the fifth house, for example. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to give birth this time around as well. However, that could be a possibility. But maybe your focus, your attention is going to be somehow on your children. Maybe the children are going to be leaving the family nest, right? And then you're going to have to deal with some type of feelings here. So that is a cosmic cycle, basically. That's what I want to be talking to you about. Um, So, but firstly, what I want to do is for you, I want to break it down for you on a personal level as well as on a mundane level, what I think it might be, bringing for us. And then I want to be going through the 12 signs as well. Oh, by the way, we already had a little bit of a taste of what to expect from the nodes because we already had a solar eclipse happening on 29 degrees of Aries. I think it was on the 20th of April, by the way. And also we had the Jupiter going through the sign of Aries as well. So we had a bit of taste. You might want to be looking back in the last year pretty much, what was going on in your life as well, not just the 9 and the 18 years ago. So the South Node pretty much shows you on a mundane level what we're gonna have to deal with, or what type of issues we're gonna have to deal with. And the North Node pretty much shows the direction we need to be heading in together. So it's kind of like a little bit of a lesson of the humanitarians, basically. It's something we're going to have to learn. So, yes, having North Node in the sign of Aries indicates that we're going to have to learn to rely on ourselves and not necessarily relying on others. So, how I imagine this on a mundane level is, for example, that alliances will break up between countries. I mean, Aries is a war zone, to be frank, and then Libra would be your enemies. So it could talk to you about, what, but alliances as well at the same time, by the way, with Libra. So it could talk to you about, what, I've been helping you this way, but now I have to focus on myself. So I'm not going to help you anymore. Let's say I'm not going to give you gas anymore. I'm not going to give you food anymore. So this could be affecting the export and the import as well, by the way. So this ingression gonna be happening around the 17th, 18th of July, depending on your own time zone. Now, definitely the Aries energy is about your inner fire. It's about making bold decisions. It's about who I am. What is my sense of mission? What is my sense of individuality? It focuses on the independence. And you know what? Aries is a sign of entitlement. I'm entitled to be me. I'm entitled to be, I don't know, having an education, for example, at Harvard or these type of things. It's about the need to know that I can be a badass man or woman. It's about building your confidence. And in order for you to build your confidence, you're going to have to take actions about it. So, for example, the way how I want to be building my confidence is that I am going to be building muscles, for example. So, I'm going to look stronger. Now, this is how I mean this muscle building is not necessarily by going to the gym, by the way, but you need certain type of strength, physical strength to be able to deal with some of the drama, what might be going down in the world. Aries does not rely on others anymore, or it doesn't want to rely on others because it kind of indicates that I'm gonna give the power away to others. However, I'm gonna be taking care of those who take care of me as well. But what do those people want in return? So this is the period of personal growth. Also, Aries and the Libra axis pretty much talks to you about attachments and codependence as well. So what my attachment styles are, that could be a major question here. Who is dependent on me? Who am I depending on? Do I need to let go of a relationship or do I need to let go of relationships in my life? The danger of having the North Node, for example, in the sign of Aries is that we're going to become a little bit selfish, self-centered. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. And but if you are the type of person who always looks at the needs of others and you put everyone's needs first before yourself, then it will kick your butt to make sure that you pay attention to yourself. You're gonna have to grow on a personal level. It tells you that, you know what, I have to help myself first. And when I have got the resources, the energy, or whatever we need to help others, then I am going to consider that. It means pretty much that you are the one who is going to be leading your own life. You have to be sitting in the driving seat of your car. Now, this is the axis of war and peace. So, unfortunately, on a world scale, it's very possible that we're going to see wars to be emerging. If I really want to be honest, I am very certain that there is going to be war going down. Uh, yeah, so I'm not going to sugarcoat here. As I said, the relationships between countries are going to start breaking up, the alliances. So it might be affecting, for example, EU, or especially the NATO, right? Because NATO is probably in like a Aries like of energy, because Aries rules any type of military forces, for example, or uniforms or police and these type of stuff. So most likely, unfortunately, this war zone is going to be increasing. Um, but at the same time, this is definitely the relationship axis as well. So it would talk to you about having a balance between our own autonomy and the desire to be connected to others. So those who are single, there could be a desire to be, for example, in a relationship, but I'm gonna have to be dealing, for example, with my own fears and so forth. By the way, typically the Aries and the Libra nodal activations bring loads of innovations as well. I mean, remember one of my little problem here, and why am I thinking that there is gonna be a war? Okay, so let me tell you my idea on that. One of the idea I'm having is that we're gonna have obviously some eclipses happening. And one of the eclipse is going to be taking place. Let me just quickly double check that. We're going to be having an eclipse happening around 25 degree of Aries. And that is where Eris, the asteroid of this code, is sitting at the moment. So what I'm pretty much feeling here is that imagine that I'm giving you a scenario, for example, so that you understand what I'm trying to come for or where I'm coming from. Imagine a situation that we are, I don't know, you having a little bit of an argument with your loved ones. And then there is a third party who is whispering into the ears of one of you, or maybe both of you as well. And then it's going to tell you, no, you have to do this. Oh, how do you dare? Or how can you allow them to talk to you like that? And so forth. So Aries is a little bit of a troublemaker. The story behind her is that she threw in the golden apple to kind of create a little bit of discord, basically, between the goddesses. And they had to be deciding who is the fairest. Obviously, they were not able to. So, what was going down is that unfortunately it caused a war in the world. So, that is the idea behind this. By the way, the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse is going to be nearby this asteroid called Eris. And that one is going to be pretty close to Chiron as well. So Chiron is going to get activated there, which is going to happen approximately around 20 degree of of um, Aries, that solar eclipse, meaning that the other side is going to be, of course, 20 degree of Libra. So that is the idea here, why I'm saying that we're going to have to pay attention to. And also, we're going to have a solar eclipse happening this October as well. And that's going to be happening almost on 22 degree of Libra. So meaning that we're going to have the other side on 22 degree of Aries. So Aries and Chiron also gets activated pretty much there. The eclipse, that particular eclipse, is going to be happening on the midpoint of Aries and Chiron. So I think we've got some turmoil coming up. Now, with Aries and Libra, often what could happen is that there is an increase in aggression as well, a lot more desire for independence, and we want to be creating the rule. I mean, Libra represents judgment as well, or kind of like legislations, court cases, and so forth. So most likely it could also indicate that, I don't know, one country is going to be suing another, for example. There is loads of conflict in energy, which is pretty much producing anger within the individuals as well. It's very possible. Obviously, this gender issue is a big one nowadays. So I can imagine protesting about it, or people going on at riots, or, you know, the problem here is with South Node in Libra that people might stop being more diplomatic, and they getting fed up, they're getting fed up basically. But it could also be the fact that, kind of like riots and demonstrations and protests just because of the cost of living overall. Now, obviously, I'm gonna tell you why I think the cost of living is gonna be an issue. And one of the reasons is because when you look at the ruler of the nodes, right? Which is going to be extremely important, obviously, because that's going to be pretty much telling you, you know, um, uh, some additional stories to what to expect. Mars is going to be in the sign of Virgo, which is an agricultural sign. So I think the food shortages of topic is going to be still very prominent, and Venus is retrograde. So Venus will be retrograde, right, from the 22nd of July onwards. So straight after the nodal returns happens, Venus is gonna go retrograde, you know, and Venus is in the sign of Leo, and it's a 4 month period, pretty much. So this could pretty much talk to you about, again, the love of the individuality, the love of the self as well, but also the love of entertainment and who I am, and coming to terms with our identity, and I want to be expressing myself. So the next 4 months looks to me that it's going to be pretty much of a hot zone overall. Um, Also, there is the desire here to be yourself, to be more adventurous. We want more excitement. We want to go forward in our life. Aries is about achieving something for yourself. But often the problem is that we want to do everything on our own, right? And that's not going to be happening. But the South Node in the sign of Libra is pretty much talking to you about the need to heal your relationships, but without compromising your authenticity. Also, it's very possible that you start something, because Aries is about initiation, the starting of a project, for example, and then you are going to get judgment from others. And obviously, that is somehow frustrating, right? Um, yeah. So let's move forward. I started talking about innovation, but then obviously my mind started wandering. So during the nodal periods, usually there is, in the sign of Aries and Libra, there is loads of kind of like discoveries happening. So, for example, Aries, the asteroid of Discord was discovered actually during the transiting nodes in the sign of Aries and Libra, which was January 5th, 2005, actually. And one of the things Aries caused was that, firstly, she was the 10th planet, but then after they decided, oh, it's not going to be a planet anymore, so we're going to even demote Pluto as well. So this period of time actually could talk to you about, for example, a world leader who is going to lose their status, someone who is going to get demoted. When the nodes are in Aries, then it's about speed. Things get faster. It's kind of like the accelerator in a car, right? So we're pushing the gas pedal a lot more. And by the way, North Node is more of a Jupiterian energy, which is kind of increasing even further. So it's very possible that things are going to get faster. Things going to get speeded up. For example, our relationship problems, all of a sudden it's going to hit us hard. Did you know actually that, for example, TikTok was um, um, kind of launched during the Aries and the Libra axis as well? So it's very possible that TikTok is gonna go through some type of regulations, for example, with that Libra. Also, the same cycle brought us the Twitter. I think it came in 2006, right? So Aries was in the sign of North Node. So Twitter can be pretty kind of like challenged. One of those two might be getting challenged. I mean, my idea, probably both, because Aries represents sexuality as well, and I think there is too much sex-related matters going on those channels. So most likely. But also on a world scale, it's very possible that we're going to start seeing something about marriages. So who can get married, who cannot get married? Maybe we're going to start seeing the number of divorces, for example, are going to rise, unfortunately. I mean, by the way, the first same-sex marriage also happened very close by to the nodal changes of Aries and Libra too. So most likely, this is going to be a major topic in the next 18 months. Also, it could be an indication that you are going to be focusing a lot more on the physical side of yourself. So, for example, your physical experiences, but also maybe your physical body as well. So I think there is going to be on a global scale a lot more need to have personal trainers, for example. or uh, or just people are going to take care of their health a little bit more. It's about how to increase your energy, how to have more physical energy. Maybe we're going to see some, hopefully that's what we're going to see, right? That, I don't know, people are going to be jogging together in the morning. They're going to choose to go to the fitness classes, for example. Aries has got short energy level though. So this is more about sprinting rather than running the marathon. Okay. So, but something which we should be doing on a frequent level. But if you want to get into shape, that could be a great idea, especially if you have got this happening around your, maybe your second, the first, or the sixth house axis. But if it happens, for example, in your third or the ninth house axis, or even the sixth and the 12th, it talks about your mental fitness. So then your mind needs to get stronger. You know what? I also believe that there is gonna be a lot more sex change going on. I think plastic surgeons will be extremely busy, but unfortunately, it could also indicate that the number of surgeries will increase as well. It's about I mean, because Aries is a sexual energy, right? So this pretty much could talk to us about someone getting cheated on, or we just want to be having more sex. So sex is going to be a major topic, I think, also in the next 18 months. Definitely, it pretty much indicates that your adrenaline level will be increasing. Aries is also an entrepreneurship sign, by the way. So you might be having a little bit of a courage, or you're going to have the willpower to actually start your own business as well. Because remember, this is going to be about self-sufficiency. So we might start seeing some more startup companies, you know, and most likely it will be related to women. Also, it's, hopefully this is not the case, but, it's kind of like walking down on the street and then the pickpockets are going to be appearing. So the lot more petty crime related matters, I think shoplifting and pickpockets and these type of things, unfortunately, it's going to come. But what I recommend doing is that, you know what, something gets stolen from you because Aries represents guns and knives and any type of sharp objects. You might just not want to get into a fight because it's very easy to get scarred. And that's going to be the period of time when these two eclipses between October and basically April or May, the eclipses are going to be taking place on the midpoint of Aries and Chiron, right? So with Chiron, it's very easy to get hurt, unfortunately. But overall, we're going to have to be careful of injuries, right? So, for example, imagine that people are going to be driving recklessly, or you are chopping up the potatoes and the tomatoes in the kitchen, and then you cut yourself. On the world scale, definitely the sales of the gun control might become a topic. So the war industry or the police enforcement are gonna accelerate. You know, uh, maybe people will keep, a gun, unfortunately, at home. I think martial art might see a major boost. So someone who wants to learn kickbox and self-defense as well, that's pretty much of an Aries topic too, because I want to be able to protect myself. Also, you might see that people are going to start acting out. They're going to have this rash, irrational behavior, out of the blue. It just something blows out, right? So that's unfortunately very possible. It's kind of like, when the shit hits the fan syndrome, but it comes a lot quicker. So we become impulsive, but in a positive level, but it could also bring kind of like a competitive field as well. So you want to be competing with others too. Just making sure that when it comes to being at home, for example, in your relationship department, that you're not going to be lashing out on others. When it comes to contractual agreement, it could talk to you about separation, for example, from a business partner. But definitely, some type of political agreements, I think, are gonna get broken here as well between countries. So maybe, let's say, one country said that till 2026, I'm gonna give you oil on this price, for example. But then all of a sudden, they're gonna announce, oh, hell no, I want more money. now because of this and that. And that might cause some type of um, um, issues. Also, this would talk to you about in what ways you need to grow to become a better version of yourself. Do you have the courage to start fresh somehow? How are you going to get out of your comfort zone? Do you have your eyes on the prize? Do you know where you have to get to? How do you deal with anger? Do you know that the fate is in your own hand and you are the only one who can create, for example, abundance for yourself? Are you ready to sign up for a challenge? Do you have a lack of self-confidence? But also, definitely, how patient are you? Because, as I said, North Node has got a very similar energy to Jupiter, and Aries is reckless and impatient. So, are you impatient? Do you have enough patience to have a little bit of a weight game? Are you ready to take a risk as well? Because that will be a topic here. Now, from a mundane point of view, Aries rules kind of like this childlike energy. So I think the youth will be in the focal point. And let's say if someone goes on a strike, then this would be more the teenager and the early adulthood up till the age of 25 type of energy. That's where I would be seeing some type of changes. But also, we might see that kids are starting to have sex a lot earlier, for example, or maybe they're gonna start getting married a lot earlier as well. Obviously, making a rash decision, which unfortunately might lead to a quick divorce as well. It's possible to have, for example, unfortunately, an attack against schools as well, so like a shooting or a knife, or a kid is going to a school with a knife. Also, hopefully, this is going to bring some innovations when it comes to public transport. Maybe in certain countries, the corporal punishment is gonna kind of vanish, and they're gonna say, no, you are not allowed to hit this person. The police, for example, cannot have certain things on them, and so forth. Maybe we're gonna start seeing a lot more survival shows or competition-related shows as well. You know, what we need to also remember that Aries represents the head, and then North Node can inflate things. So it's the inflated ego. So probably people might become more snobbish or big-headed overall, unfortunately. Maybe there is going to be a legislation about, entrepreneurship. Who can, this digital nomad thing might be changing as well. So definitely there is a need to learn a lot more about yourself, but the Southern is telling you that you're gonna have to remain humble and true to your own truth. Aries wants you to do your own thing, so it's about self-studying, self-teaching, and so forth. But you're gonna have to be able to listen to others as well. Now, I would like to bring this to your attention as well, that as soon as the nodes are shifting into the sign of Aries and Libra, then Pluto will be squaring those. So I did make a video about that, so I'm not necessarily going to be going through so much in detail. But the other thing you might want to be seeing is that the Mars, which is the ruler of the nodes, it's basically named after the god of war. It's about drive, anger, frustration, what actions we are taking, going to be opposing Saturn in that chart, who is a great teacher archetype, who is testing. So it's going to be testing our patience. It's going to be giving us exams, and it might be a hard exam overall. And then Pluto being in the picture is very much about, you know, shifts, transformation. It's a retrograde. So it is bringing us back certain type of lessons. Saturn is a retrograde as well, something which we had to deal with already. So we have got some major challenges when it comes to, this aspect here, unfortunately. I mean, especially the days when the square is going to be very potent is somewhere between July 20th till about 30th of July. So obviously Pluto is 29 degree of Capricorn and then squaring the 29 degree of the nodes. And at the same time, the sun is going to be on 29 degree of a Leo, which is also you know, pretty much having that issue there. And then we've got Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is on 6th degree. It's an exact opposition to Mars. So that's where we've got a major challenging stuff going on. So what it is pretty much telling you about, sorry, the sun is not in the sign of Leo, it's in the sign of Cancer, I want to say. That's why it's opposing Pluto. So, so the sun in the sign of Cancer is in opposition to sun in the sign of Capricorn. So we have got a sun in Cancer, which is talking about your country, your emotional foundation. And then we have got Pluto, which is the representation of the society overall. So it's kind of like a personal attack where I feel like that, my personal foundation is getting, somehow damaged. It's also on a global level, the sun is about, in the sign of Cancer is about property, the property business, you land, the countries as an individuality. So this is telling me that it could, the next 18 months, we're going to start seeing some changes in the property industry as well. Maybe around legislations again, or people are just going to get frustrated. The prices of the properties are just going up, and then we cannot buy properties anymore. Obviously, the Aries Libra with the Pluto being involved is pretty much of a power struggle, right? And Pluto is about control. So we are trying to control something which might be uncontrollable as well. So that is a major topic there too. But if you are more curious about these Pluto squared nodes, which already happened at the beginning of July as well, then I recommend going back and revisiting that video because Pluto, this is an important one, and basically this is the year transit. And it is very much about the world power and how do they take responsibility for their impact on the world. So that is something. I think Saturn and the Mars opposition, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your actions, how wise are you about them? Also, how optimistic you are, because Saturn has got a tendency to see the negative sides of things. How judgmental you are. But Saturn and Mars together is the long distance runner too. So it's about realizing how far you can get if you are ready to take on the boxing gloves. Now, Mars, is in the sign of Virgo, which is, by the way, going to start somewhere around the 10th of July. In the sign of Virgo, Virgo is about perfectionism. It's about looking at the details. It's about due diligence as well. Mars in the sign of Virgo is all about getting things done. But no more procrastination, no more, excuses. Let's just pull up our sleeves and get to work. Because Virgo is a busy bee, right? And Mars is the planet of action. So you're gonna have to get going with some of your project, for example. But Virgo is about organizational skills as well, or cleansing. So maybe we need to clear something out. What's so messy in our life? And then the opposition to Saturn, which is about discipline, you know what? I'm just going to start doing that. Obviously, it's happening on the axis of immune system, right? So there is the need to be paying attention to our immune system, but also this is the mindset as well. So there is a major shift here. Now, um, and also, I would like to mention that when the nodes are shifting sign, actually there is a new moon going on in Cancer as well, and that's going to be happening on 24 degree of Cancer, which is actually a trine to Neptune on 27 degree, and it has got a sextile to Uranus on 22 degree of Taurus, but it has got an opposition to Pluto as well. So the new moon is very much about, again, an invitation to deal with our strength, the power struggles in our life as well. It's an opposition, so often we project something onto others. So it's looking at your own action and then how it is affecting others as well, or how others are kind of instigating certain type of situations, which is having an effect, maybe a negative effect or a positive effect on our life as well. So, but we have got Neptune and Uranus involved there, but those energies are pretty hard to integrate, right? Because those are generational planets. So often we are just waiting for the strength to come from others. And the other thing is that then straight away after Sun is going to go into the sign of Leo, but before it goes, it's going to be actually just activating a T square there. And we do need to be aware of that T square. Now, this T square, pretty much, and that's something I've spoken about in my weekly forecast. So if that's something you are interested in, then you might want to be signing up for my weekly forecast, because I always make a 45 minutes video about the energies of the week ahead, and I send it out on Sundays, breaking down each planetary energies and so forth. But what was I going to tell you? Oh, yeah, the T square. So basically, we've got a T square going on here between Pluto, the nodes, not T square, sorry, a ground cross, between Mercury, the Pluto, and the lunar nodes. And then straight after, once that's lasting till about the 20th. So then straight after, we have got the sun getting involved into this situation as well. So what it pretty much talks to me about is that, you know what, we're gonna have to start not making any excuses. Because Mercury is the planet of teaching, learning, communication, thinking, the way we speak to others. And Pluto definitely wants to empower Mercury. It's a Sherlock Holmes aspect, right? So it would pretty much talk to you about doing a little bit of a research about something, but also focusing on something important as well. Now, this is going to get highlighted by the sun straight after, but in new signs. And then we have got that T square getting stronger and stronger. So this would be my analysis on a general level for you in regards to the nodes. Before we start looking at each signs, you know what? I want to just summarize here a little bit. Because the North Node in Aries, you're calling on a higher vibration. Instead of becoming egotistical, defensive, or reckless, or selfish, it wants you to get in touch with your personal calling, especially with Chiron there, which is a great teacher archetype. So, you know about Chiron went through so much pain, but at the end of the day, they still managed to, realize that their mission is to be able to help others. So, there is something, I think, what is the most important here. It is definitely a conflicting energy. It catalyzes things. It can bring plenty of devastation on a personal level. But when you have the courage to move forward in your life, then you become a better version of yourself. Uh, I feel like because Aries is in the sign of Aries as well, we're gonna have loads of heroes whispering in our ears. And do they give us the greatest advice? You know, or that's something just to be careful uh um about, in my opinion. So I also believe that, what, you're gonna have to look at if somehow you were kind of toxified by the past, because Aries is about new beginnings. So we're gonna have to start fresh, which means that we're gonna have to leave the past behind as well. So the little problem here is that Aries and then Virgo in the sign of, sorry, Mars in the sign of Virgo is very much about our basic needs, which is about water, food, sunshine, rest, our rights, working rights, and so forth. But there are other tiers of our hierarchy of needs as well. And there are psychological needs, which is that Saturn and Mars opposition is trying to get your attention to, right? The psychology comes from Saturn being in the sign of Pisces, which is the intimate relationships or friends. We need these people in our life. But the top tier of our hierarchy of needs is the self-fulfillment. That's the higher vibration of Mars. When you are trying to achieve your full potential and you including some of your uh, creative your creative you become creatively active somehow. So I really feel like if you manage your anger, you know because I think there is going to be situations when we're going to be angry that what is going on in the world. And you might start feeling that you are the victim of other people's greed, for example. But this is also telling you that at one point we're gonna have to learn to laugh. You know, we're gonna have to learn not to take things too seriously as well. But it doesn't tell you that you're gonna have to be smiling while you are in pain. So you can unapologetically show your vulnerability as well. So this is where I feel like you're gonna have um major topics to go through. But anyway, let's look at the houses. So if it happens in your first house, so the north node is going to be in your first house, meaning that the south node is going to be in your seventh house, then what would you like to start? What would you like to initiate? Are you happy in your marriage or do you want to let that go? How to, do you have the courage to kind of finish off some of your relationships? Are you ready to open up for new possibilities? Basically, when it happens in the first and the seventh house axis, your life is changing. Maybe it's travel. Maybe you're going to start studying something. Maybe you're going to relocate overall. How are you going to be working on your confidence level? Uh, are there any kind of crisis situations going on in your life which needs to be approached more in a systematic way? Remember, Mars is in the sign of Virgo, and you're going to have to learn a bit of patience as well. Or do you have to push the gas pedal? Are you actually holding yourself back somehow because you feel that someone is holding you back? Definitely, there is the need somehow here to change your belief system about something because Mars and Saturn are in the sixth and the 12th house. Right. So now that's not necessarily about belief system, but changing habits. So how are you going to change your habits? The first house is the house of identity, the decisions, the body. So you might want to start working on your body. But overall, I think the most important message for you is to have a change in the approach you have towards life. So heal your body somehow. Maybe do some competitive sports, maybe go to the gym, maybe pick up some martial arts skills as well. Maybe make some bold decisions about your look as well. Maybe you need to be meeting a guru, right? Who is going to set you free from any of your attachments. What type of entitlement style do you have? Do you have the tendency to be a little bit more egotistical and so forth? Because then you're going to have to know that you have to rely on others as well. You are invited to go on a journey of self-discovery. That's, I think, the most important. How are you gonna improve your life? And if someone is a blockage in your life, then you can get the opportunity to somehow remove those blockages. Because we all come with a unique purpose, right? And you're gonna have to develop that side of your life to come to terms with your authenticity overall. So on a personal level, I feel like you're gonna have loads of habits which you're gonna have to eliminate, for example, so that you can fully express yourself. And these are something to do with limiting belief systems or fears, or maybe it's a person who is hindering you. But maybe your body is gonna go through a major transformation. So good luck for you, Aries. When it comes to uh, Taurus rising sign, so basically it's going to be happening in your 12th and the 6th house, but the nodes are going to be in the north node is going to be in your 12th. Sorry, yeah, it's going to be in your 12th house, which is the house of spirituality, dreams, fears, and often the way how you feel paralyzed by others. So that is telling you to go down on a spiritual journey. It wants you to be bold enough to face your own fears. One of the greatest way to do that is to go against your fears. It is telling you that stop crying over the spilled milk, right? It's about, but I'm afraid of spiders, but I'm going to pick one up today on the street because I am going to be gathering as much inner strength as possible. The 12th house can actually represent career changes as well. It's the awakening of your hidden talents, but that hidden talent needs to be released. Maybe you want to initiate a spiritual business, for example, but maybe you want to start working on a project in the next 18 months, which you will want eventually to see light once obviously the nodes are going to be moving into the fifth and the 11th house. But how are you going to let go of some of the karmic influences? Do you have the tendency to blame someone else in your life? Because that needs to stop now. Definitely, this could also represent the need to, because the 12th house is about loss of money. So you might have been struggling with finances, for example. You might have had struggles with the finances as well. So how are you gonna make more money in your life? I mean, the 12th house can represent higher expenditures, like bills can be growing, right? So Mars in Virgo wants you to be a little bit more organized when it comes to your expenditures. The 12th house is addictions. Do you have problems with spending money, for example? Do you spend too much money? Right? Then you're going to have to embrace your Taurus rising sign, where you are going to be a little bit more cautious about what you have. But it might be telling you that it's time to spend a little bit more on yourself, because that's going to give you a stronger inner foundation overall. What is your way of thinking about earning money? Do you have some karmic blockages you're going to have to remove, right? Because the 12th house is about releasing something. And very important to mention that, very important to mention that we have got Saturn also in the sign of Pisces. So you have got loads of letting go to do, dear Taurus rising sign. So, what do you need to let go of in your life now? And that is a major question. And I think it is connected to your fears, your insecurities. And how are you going to do that? I mean, definitely because you have got Jupiter uh, uh, in the sign of Taurus, which is your first house. It wants you to grow significantly. But in order for you to be growing, the past needs to be let gone. Something is in your subconscious mind, which you have to be, delve into, and often you just need a spiritual guru, for example. Maybe you're going to see that your intuition is going to grow significantly. Maybe your psychic abilities will. Maybe actually you're going to get more drawn to any type of esoteric fields or subjects too. That's a possibility. But also, this is the house of dreams as well. What are your dreams? How are you going to get them going? How are you going to make them a reality? Right? And in one way you can do that is to get in touch with your emotions too. Maybe it's the power of magic. Not everything is, because Taurus rising sign is very concerned about tangibility, right? But the 12th house is the unseen. So how are you gonna see the unseen forces around you? Right? Often this can be an indication that you just want to be withdrawing yourself from any type of hustle in the world. It's focusing a little bit more on solitude as well. It's the time for self-reflection too. But then how are we gonna use Jupiter in the first house, who definitely wants to put you out there? Right? So I feel like there needs to be a balance here of how much time we spend with sleeping and how much time we're gonna be out there in the public. And maybe use a bit of meditation, or any type of meditation, or some type of techniques which is gonna be letting your subconscious roar again. Work on your belief system, work on your patterns. work on your physical body. I mean, the first house, 6 and the 12, getting activated here with Mars also in the sign of Virgo too. I feel like Mars is in the fifth house for you at the beginning of this transit, which is the house of sport, changing your health routines could be a major signature for you. Gemini. So it's going to be happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, social media, benefactors in our life, but also salary. It can represent political involvements as well, but also this is the house of superpower. So how are you going to increase your own superpower? And in order for you to have a power, you're gonna have to be around these super powerful people as well. So therefore, it tells you that you're gonna have to increase your network. You're gonna have to get out there and make new friends, and those friends are going to be supporting your long-term goals as well. So any planet in the 11th house is always about superpower. But you're going to have to learn to hang around those people who represent the planetary energies of those, you know. So that is one key success factor here, because these people are going to be supporting your long-term goals. But also, this is the house of hopes and wishes. So, you know what? It's not enough to be hopeful about your own future. It's about taking things into your own hands. Do you have your own life in your own hands? That's a question here. Or are you willing to put your life into other people's hands? That could be also because the South Node is in the sign of, sorry, it's in the fifth house. So it tells us that we're going to have to go from, to a certain extent, without compromising the individuality, though, but be leaving the ego behind and maybe asking for an advice from a friend of ours. Luck might be coming from your friends or the social connections you make. It could also talk to you about finding a business partner online, for example, or finding a partnership or love, for example, in group settings as well. Maybe it could talk to you about increase in your salary. But remember, Iris says, if I don't ask for it, I'm never going to get it, right? So also it can represent that certain people need to leave. Your life needs to be replaced by others. Maybe you feel a little bit judged by others. Maybe actually you're gonna want to have a clearer vision about your own future. Maybe you want to get a promotion, and that promotion is gonna come with a pay rise, right? But also, it would be an indication that you might need to be in a competition to get that promotion as well. I read it once that it's always easier to have your enemies close to your chest, so how are you going to lure certain type of people into your life because the enemies are Libra, right? So how are you going to lure them into your life so that actually they become more supportive towards you as well? It's very much about exploring your aspiration, being part of a community, making social connections with others. Definitely not giving up your unique individuality that needs to be expressed in these social circles. But being around like-minded people will support you in the long run, but they're gonna have to have the same visions, goals, and dreams overall. So these people, you need to be able to resonate with the energies of these people as well. Let's move on to Cancer rising sign. So if you have got it in the nodal change is happening in your 10th house, which is your profession, social status, fame, but also something to do with your parents as well. So It is about the steps you take to get recognized for your own efforts. How are you going to be increasing your social status? Are you going to be famous? Are you going to be more visible? Will they see you for your efforts? What steps are you going to be taking to be more visible? Now, maybe you need to be writing up your CV. Maybe it's a time for you to change your profession. Maybe it's very much about taking on a new position as well, right? Maybe it's a complete change what you're going to have to go through. I mean, remember, you do have got this Pluto Mercury opposition going on, which is a grand cross with the nodes, right? So you might be having these ideas that I want to be, doing something completely different. Now, this could be the time for you, but also, in what ways can you expand your own business? What ways to promote your business? That could be a topic for you too. Because, kind of like think about social media and so forth. It's about visibility, right? But also, it's a possibility that there are some changes going on in your work environment, and then you are getting tired of it. And then you're going to say, hold on a minute, I've got my rights, right? I am fed up of working for others. I want to start self-employment, for example. And maybe that's a possibility as well, that your health issues are affecting your career journey with a weakened immune system, for example, with the Saturn Mars opposition, what is going on for you. So, how are you going to deal with that? Something needs to be eliminated in your life, most likely stress related, work related issues. So I would focus on that. Of course, this is a parenting house as well. So you might want to be looking at, or you might start looking at, okay, I want to become a parent. I want to make something official. Maybe you want to make your marriage official. That's a possibility here as well, by the way. So what's your reputation look like? Is anyone trying to kind of like take down your reputation somehow? Uh, but definitely, it's a period of time when you want to align with your life purpose, because the midheaven is usually in the 10th house as well. And the midheaven will talk to you about the highest purpose we can achieve in this incarnation. So, how are you going to do that? And it's just all about action. Maybe it's about exploring different type of professional path as well. Maybe actually you are at the finish line of succeeding at something, but that you feel like that maybe something is going on in my family, which is actually holding me back. Definitely the work and the family life balance is going to be a major topic for you. So even though you want to be focusing a lot on your professional settings, there are going to be events taking place in your family which might become a hurdle for you. So how are we going to deal with that too? That is going to be coming into the picture. I feel like with the Saturn and the Mars opposition, what is pretty much happening here is that you're gonna have to have somehow a calmer mind. So your mind can act out quite a lot, and you might become a little bit more pushy to get your ideas across, for example. Okay, so let's look at what's happening for Leo. Leo, it's going to be transiting in your ninth house, which is about learning, opinion, belief system, relocation, spirituality as well. So, Leo, you are meant to be on a public stage. So with the ninth house, that's your higher purpose. Still, I mean, that's the planetary joy of the ninth house as well. I mean, sorry, for the sun as well. So how are you, do you enjoy being on a public stage? Are you craving for some international success? Maybe you want to publish something. Maybe you have written a drama and then you want to publish that. But it's about finding your purpose in life. Maybe you're gonna have to travel somewhere. You're gonna have to travel, for example, to find love. It can be talking to you about a potential love affair, for example, in a foreign country, or just with someone who has got a different cultural background. Definitely, this is going to talk to you about increasing your confidence level as well, whether you believe in yourself, but also how does your belief system affect you from being a star, the star of your own life. And that would be obviously something the most important to consider for you. As a last note for you is, that you might want to be relocating or you might want to study something, which is going to give you some element of success in the future. So if you want to study something, it might be the time for you. Virgo, you're going to have this happening in your eighth and the second house, which is about shared resources, fear, intimacy, crisis situations, but an element of transformation as well. This is going to affect you significantly just because we have got the Saturn and the Mars opposition, and that is describing the next 18 months for you somehow. Whenever it gets triggered at 6 degree of Virgo, to 6 degree of Pisces, it gets triggered in your chart, then it's going to be affecting you. So you're going to have to make some type of changes in your life. But the change might look like very scary for you. Remember, we're going to have to go against our fears, facing the inner demons. Maybe you are needed to shift from a negative to a more positive outlook on life as well. Maybe there is some intimacy issues or trust issues going on in your life, which needs your attention, and you're going to have to start doing something, or it can actually end up as a divorce as well for you. Maybe you feel that your partner has been struggling financially and then you cannot support anymore. There is no enough give and take going on in your life. You feel like that you have been giving too much and then you're not receiving enough back. Now, this could be financially, emotionally, but also on a physical level as well. Maybe you are expecting inheritance, or maybe you are going to be receiving a tax return, for example, or maybe it's actually something to do with your partner's finances, which are about to increase as well. But then it can affect your self-confidence because you might fear that you are at a situation where you are codependent on your partner. Maybe you are working, for example, at a service industry, and then you do not see that, your worth is kind of rewarded somehow. And also, let's just have a look at the intimacy department here for a little while. Is there any type of struggle going on with sex? Maybe the partner wants to have more sex, but you have no desire to do that. Why is it? Do you not feel safe in your relationship, for example? Or do you feel like that the partner is cheating on you? Do you feel that you become possessive, or the partner is too possessive, not giving you enough space? Maybe you want to build your own family. Maybe actually you want to get a mortgage, for example, to be able to buy a house. But I think on a karmic level, this is telling you to start focusing on self-love a little bit more so that you can transfer that self-love into your relationship as well. It would pretty much talk to you about feeling better in your own skin. And the transformation is going to start now. Yes, there is possibility that you're going to start struggling with your finances. So you're going to have to change around your ideas to make it work for you. Especially in the first 4 months of the ingression, which can bring changes around finances. Libra, this is going to be happening in your seventh house, which is the house of partnership, relationship, business associations, and shadow work as well. Because the seventh house is the extension of the self, which often we don't tend to see or we don't want to embrace. So one of the questions for you is whether you have integrated the shadow side of your personality, because you're gonna have to face it. You know, the Southern is in the sign of in your first house, which is telling you that, you know, you might have been stubborn. You're gonna have to let go of it. You know, you're gonna have to listen to other people's opinion as well. Maybe you're gonna start longing for a relationship a lot more. Maybe it makes you depressed as well with Mars in the sign of Virgo. You know, it wants to look up, that Virgo wants to travel, it wants to hide, you know, it is doing things in the background. Maybe you just want to be healing your mental axis. Maybe the fact that you do not have a relationship is making you sick. But if you have got a relationship, that could make you sick as well if it's not functioning on the proper level. So, uh, but definitely at the same time, it is telling you that you're gonna have to put yourself out there, right? Because the North Node is in the seventh house. So I need to be seen by others as well. Maybe you're gonna have to start thinking about how I am going to be increasing my clientele. You know, what ways you can initiate that. Um, you know, maybe you're gonna have to collaborate with someone to get a business opportunity because Saturn is in the sixth house, so it wants to solidify your work. It kind of wants you to, you know, but often Saturn in the sixth house also indicates that, no, I'm not getting work. I do not have the qualifications, for example. So there could be these type of challenges, but I think it's about a regular work for you or working on yourself to look better as well. Maybe you want to be traveling a lot more, for example, in your existing relationships to see the world a little bit more, right? So overseas countries, for example, with that Mars in the 12th house. But what type of pain does the relationship cause you? That's a major question because there is going to be there, excuse me, there is going to be there Chiron, right? So we're going to have to deal with the Chironian energy as well, especially between October and May 2024. Yes, this could talk to you about a legal battle as well, which probably, I mean, it really depends on your natal chart, but with this generic forecast, there is a tendency to lose that because we make a rash decision about something, but also it could just indicate that unfortunately you're going to be the victim of a crime as well. So you might want to be paying attention to these type of things. Scorpio rising sign. So this is going to be happening in your sixth house, which is the house of routines, health, daily investments, but also pets and what type of service you do to others. So do you want to be in service to your own higher cause? This could be a major question here. Are you employed? You know, do you want to be employed or are you getting tired of working every day, getting home tired, suffering from fatigue, but not necessarily seeing the results? What you gonna do about it? This actually can talk to you about having an increased workload, which is leading to your cortisol level to be spiked up. And therefore, it can cause some type of health issues as well. So, how you are going to be balancing out your daily life with your work, but finding time for yourself as well so that you can retreat a little bit. But this is not necessarily the time when it's going to be about being behind the scenes and resting and just dreaming. This is about rolling up the sleeves, getting the whip into your own hand, and get going with things. Most likely, you might be having loads of things on your plate, and you're gonna feel like I cannot cope with this anymore. I mean, we are talking about, you know, the sixth house is the crisis situation in the ego. So the ego gets hurt here a little bit. And you might feel that I'm not as powerful anymore. I'm losing my kind of like magic touch. What is going on with me? And then it can make your body weaker as well. But also, it could pretty much talk to you about picking up some martial arts skills, kicking the sandbag, building muscles, going back to the gym to spike up your energy level. Because often what happens is that if we don't get out of that solitude, 12th house, then obviously your energy level is going to be extremely low, which is your sixth house. So by having certain type of routines, we can actually get that back up. Also, do you provide any type of service? How can you make money out of that? Maybe you want to be making money through health or animal industry. Now, why am I talking about money? First of all, because you have got the Mars and the Saturn opposition happening in your fifth and 11th house, right? So those are money houses. So the money, it's a bit pretty much about making money from my hobbies. So what are my hobbies? Maybe you are on a healing journey and you feel like it's necessary for you. And one of the healing could be the fact that you are connecting to other people as well. Maybe it's about weight management. You're gonna have to watch out for that too. So especially when it comes to sweet and cakes and this type of stuff, which is about fifth house anyway. So you might want to pay attention to, but maybe there are going to be some changes at the school of your children, which is affecting your daily habits. Imagine a situation where your child is going to get transferred to a different school, which is, I don't know, 10 miles away from the previous one, and you're going to have to travel a lot more. So some of the challenges what your children have might be affecting your daily lifestyle too. Sagittarius rising sign, this is going to be taking place in your fifth house. So, one hand, how you are going to turn your hobby into a profession, that could be a major uh, question for you. As in fifth house, the house of self-employment. And remember that Saturn and Mars are going to be taking place in your fourth and the 10th, right? Maybe there are some type of hobbies you have been ignoring, and that was your favorite, and you're going to have to bring them back into your life. Saturn is a retrograde, so that's a possibility here, right? Maybe you're gonna go on a date a lot. You might have got loads of sexual experiments going on. Maybe you're gonna fix some of your sexual blockages, what you've had so far, which might be originated somehow from your parents. Again, the fourth and the 10th house axis getting activated there. You have got great opportunities to get pregnant or to have a child as well. You have got the fifth, fourth, and the 10th house activation. So this is pretty much about family. But also you can give birth to something, maybe something creative, which unapologetically uh, portraying you as the real you. It's about being fun, uh, but if people do not appreciate your humor, just get rid of them, basically. It's about being on a stage. I want the attention on me. So how is it gonna be on me at all times? But also, what is your relationship with your inner child as well? Do you want to have a child? Are you scared of having one? Also, it's very possible that your sexual appetite is gonna increase. So we do need to be just aware of that. Maybe you want to be making money out of properties, for example. Most likely, unfortunately, some of your friends are not helping your individuality anymore, and maybe there needs to be a spring clean there. By the way, renting out the property is the fifth house because the money is made from property, second from the fourth. So it might be about selling a property, buying a property, but possibly it could also talk to you about relocation as well. Imagine a situation, there are some oppositions here, right? With Saturn being in Pisces, there are some challenges. So imagine that you relocate a little bit further where your partner is. That brings in some type of challenges, but then my sexual appetite is growing. So, there could be some type of stuff like that. Actually, it could also indicate, unfortunately, the death of a parent. Obviously, I'm not here to scare you, and it really is dependent on your natal chart, but unfortunately, it's in the cards. Capricorn rising sign. So this is going to be happening in your fourth and 10th house. So the North Node is in the fourth, which is about family roots, the father, and end of things as well. Can represent properties and lands too. So are you brave enough to end something in your life? Because something is coming to an end. Something needs to be buried, and you are aware of that. Something needs to be finished off, but you have been postponing it. Now you're going to have to start looking at it. Maybe it's time to send your father for a checkup, a health checkup. That's possible. But also, what is your inner foundation look like? Do you feel good in your own skin? Do you want to do a little bit of research about who you are at the core, at the core of yourself? So, who am I? That could be a major question. You can feel extremely lost in the next 18 months if you don't figure out what you are at the core of your heart. Maybe you're going to start remembering a lot more on what was going on, for example, in better days. Maybe actually you're going to start thinking about, you know what, I want to move home. Right? So the Mars Saturn opposition is going to be taking place in your third and ninth house. You might have been in a foreign country for a long time, and then now have got this craving to get connected with my ancestors. So I want to go home. Whether to visit or for a longer period of time, Aries makes impulsive decisions and then regrets it after. Maybe you're going to be longing for a bigger home, or maybe you want to have your own children, right? Or maybe you want more children. You want to be growing a family. Often I've noticed with North Node triggering the fourth house that someone is coming into the family. So whether my sister or the brother is going to get married, and then we're going to have a wedding ceremony, or my sister is going to have a newborn baby, but then it triggers something within us as well. Obviously, the home life needs to be paid attention to. Maybe you want to be, the home life, you're going to focus a lot more, maybe at the expense of your career, which is not so typical for Capricorn, right? But somehow you're going to have to focus on the inner foundation of yourself. Maybe you just want to be renovating your home and it's going to be taking up loads of your time as well. Maybe you want to be working from home. Maybe you want to be working with properties as well. Aquarius rising. So this is going to be happening in your third and ninth house. So this could, the third house is about ideas, siblings, neighborhood, communication, short distance travels, and so forth. So maybe you want to be writing, speaking. So maybe you are considering something around uh, publishing a book, for example. Maybe there is a business you want to promote. You might want to come up with a subscription plan, or you're going to do some type of newsletters. You're going to invest a little bit more into marketing or PRing yourself. Maybe you're going to have this big idea, which you have to jump onto it. Maybe others are not going to agree with you. And you're going to have to take that with a pinch of salt. Whether their opinion counts or doesn't count. Do I need to listen to that? Don't be too selfish. Don't be too egotistical. Listen to them. Measure things up, but always follow the path of your heart. Maybe you're gonna start reading a lot more. Maybe you're gonna exchange ideas with others. But you feel like you are giving too much idea away to them, and then you're not really benefiting from them. Maybe you're gonna take on a short, kind of like a course type of thing, just to boost your maybe communication. Maybe you wanna study a language, for example. Maybe it's about a promotion of a business. Maybe you want to brush up your skills when it comes to programming or, technological advancements, IT related matters. Maybe it's a very much about dealing with your extended family during this 18-month period, such as your cousins, in-laws. Maybe the in-laws, we are having arguments with them, or they are interfering into our lives. And then you are reminded that you're going to have to stand up for yourself rather than running away, because being afraid of being rejected, right? The Aquarius is in rejection. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to pick up my courage and I'm going to tell them, hold in a minute, right? Also, it's a mutable house. So often we start things and then we never finish things. So are you going to finish something this time around? Maybe you're going to have troubles with the neighbors as well. And then you get into arguments with them. And then you either not diplomatic enough to sort out the issue. Imagine kind of like the fence, the third house rules borders, or your fence is doing this and that, and I want you to remove that, and so forth. So we can have arguments with neighbors, siblings, and so forth. And by the way, this could also indicate health issues of your parents as well, which might need your attention too. And the third house is also connected to your kind of like talents. So it might be about doing some DIY around at home, a little bit of engineering and stuff like that. So that's also possible that you're gonna focus on that. And last but not least, Pisces rising sign. So this is gonna be happening in your second and eighth house, which is about self-love, finances, values, and food. So first of all, you're gonna have to find ways of increasing your income. Uh, you might have been earning pretty well, but maybe also you feel that something is missing here. Maybe you have got a lot more potentials to increase your income. You're just unsure how to do that. And that is telling you to grab every single opportunity to become more proactive when it comes to chasing money. It could talk to you about innovations, for example, kind of like investing into your website, upgrading something, which is going to generate income for you in the future. Also, your spending can increase. So how far can you stretch, when it comes to spending your money? Are you gonna, I don't know, buy a car for $10,000 when you only have got 9,000 in your account? Then you're gonna have to be careful with that. Maybe gonna become a lot braver when it comes to risking your money. So putting money into something which is a little bit risky, but it can bring you, increase of money flow as well at the same time, surely. But it's all about making effort to make your own money. It's not necessarily about expecting others just to send you the money. So that's going to be important here. Also, definitely the body is involved with the Saturn and the Mars opposition. So it could definitely talk about food increase, eating a lot more, but then Aries says, how are you going to turn that into muscle? Because we do not want you to be fat, Saturn in the first house, right? So we need to restrict or we need to lean down somehow. Also, it could talk to you about your worthiness. Maybe you want to be looking at your own prices. Do you charge enough? Do I not charge enough? How to increase confidence level, how to boost your self-image as well. And the question is, have you been struggling financially? Because if yes, so you're gonna have to somehow sort that out. Others are not gonna help you most likely anymore. They're gonna come up with a no to you, right? And if you are doing well financially, then this is just asking you to take it to the next level. Maybe, obviously, the ruler of your north node is going to be falling into the seventh house. So often this could talk to you about argument about money. Oh no, this is not how much I gave you. Or I want you to pay more bills, like in Virgo, right? So the sharing, caring element pretty much comes up with this combination as well. If you do not want to do weightlifting and all these type of cardio exercises, then watch out for North Node because it can make you put on weight. And Saturn is going to punish you with some type of health issues in the first house. And probably Mars in Virgo will also kind of be in the mix for that too. On a psychological level, this is asking you not to overdo things because you might feel that I'm not worthy of other people's love. You might not feel appreciated by your partner anymore. Maybe actually you feel that you are working so hard to be noticed by your partner, but they seem to be not caring about it much. So that could be also a question here. So guys, thank you very much. This is a longer video, but I wanted to make sure that you all have got a great understanding over this nodal shift. I might be doing a part two where I'm going to walk you through the chart because I wanted to look at some of the aspects as well. For example, Ixion will be squaring the nodes pretty much after the changeover. The problem is that I didn't want to make such a long video because, some people tend to be complaining about that. And then, not even that, but, your attention might not be as great anymore. But there are some other asteroids which I thought might be very interesting to look at in the ingress chart and how does that play out. So I might be doing another video. Just watch out for that. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and then if you are interested in my nodal class, sign up for it right now. Bye-bye.